Welcome again to you members of the press at the press conference. I'd like to single out this one and thank you for being a very courageous journalist. You see, sometimes we got to broaden our attention to different things. If somebody stands behind this platform and talk all politics, and you say it's time for question and answer, we got 10 persons standing in line. But critical human development and human survival issues are just swept. Prostate cancer is one of the leading killers among men in the world. Biomedical research is as important as any other thing you can imagine. Like a whole team of professional people. They stood up here and said whatever they said. And they said question and answer, everybody okay. So I thank him for his courage. For at least having to engage with the force to some extent. You know, a lot is happening in our country, but one thing that is certified is the fact that the government remains focused. And you can see it for yourselves. There's more stability with the provision of electricity. The different expansion initiatives are taking place. Pole planting, the running of the wires, etc., taking place in cities like Canon, Leicester, even in and around Monrovia in different places. I've always made reference to the fact that since 2011, I moved to Broadway. And for that number of years, we've not seen the electricity. For the first time, the poles have been planted, the wires connected. I'm sure they're trying to finish the entire process, do their testing, and then the next stage will be those of us who have not seen the electricity for that many years living in Broadway will now be able to rely on the national power grid as a source of energy, rather than a generator that is disturbing our ears every night. We've seen the expansion of very nice and strong streetlights, expanding in all communities as the commitment was made. You're going to see more of that because the entire city of Monrovia will be covered, and they will be extended, as we were told, to the other counties. This is a kind of real revolution in development, and I guess it is not pleasing to some of our foes, and therefore some of the things you see happening are happening. Mr. Ali and his team are continuing to do their good work. They brought in those 48 inquiries. They've been laying down, the installations are taking place so as to ensure that water gets to our people. Basically, one can say all is well. The Ministry of Public Works, one of the star agencies of the government, is continuously impressing us and meeting the needs of the people. Many community roads are being tackled, in addition to the fact that the major constructions in different corridors are continuing, whether it's leading to the southeast, whether it's effort to take paved roads to rival schools, etc., etc. If you live on the Bujo Island, you are a witness to the fact that the construction of the road leading towards the Port Bridge is continuing. For a long period of time, one cannot easily drive through Local Town. All the traffic will be directed towards Transformo, passing through Dwella. Now you can simply just detour when you reach Local Town, because That road has been completely rehabilitated. You can drive on the street up to the beer factory. There's another route from the Spring Road that takes you straight to Jamaica Road. Many parts of that road were destroyed. They've all been rehabilitated. In addition to the major ones that are taking place, you know what is happening on the Roberts-Fee Highway, a road project that was not going anywhere, even though much money has been spent and nothing was happening since this administration. We've reinvigorated our entire project, and your eyes can see for yourselves what is happening there. The National Port Authority is also doing some great job. They have reported that we have an increase in vessel traffic at the port. That signifies something. Maybe it looks ordinary to some people. It is a demonstration of a vote of confidence in the trade sector of our country, in the stability of our country, that you can have all of these vessels being directed to our country. And as a result of the increase in vessels at the port, the management made some adjustments in their operational hours at the free port. And those new operational hours will run from Monday through Friday. They will run from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. On Saturdays, they will run from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And on Sundays, they will run from 8 a.m. to 5. What is this supposed to mean for the Liberian economy? This adjustment in operational hours at the free port, like I said earlier, indicates a positive development for the Liberian economy in several ways. Increased efficiency. So the port is becoming more efficient by extending the operational hours. It will allow more vessels to be processed. They will reduce congestion and delays, and this can lead to a quicker turnaround time for shipping and receiving goods. It will also enhance trade. With improved efficiency, trade activities can increase, potentially attracting more shipping companies and fostering greater international trade relations. That can lead to an influx of goods which benefits consumers and businesses alike. It also has impact on economic growth. A more efficient port can stimulate economic growth by supporting local businesses that rely on imports and exports. That can lead to job creation in the shipping sector, in logistics, and related sectors. Infrastructure development is also one of the benefits. Increased vessel traffic, the prompt for investment in port infrastructures and related services which can enhance overall economic resilience. If you're paying attention, you notice that the Liberian National Police on yesterday, along with other members of the Joint Security, were out in the streets. And what they were doing is what we refer to as confidence patrol across Monrovia. And the goal of the exercise is to assure members of the public that their safety is guaranteed and is intact, because we try to impress upon you that there is a visible presence of law enforcers who are ready to keep the peace and ensure security and stability. The confidence patrol is not intended to instill fear in the population. Instead, it is meant to deter potential violence and reassure the citizens that law enforcement is proactive in preventing unrest. The patrol is also intended to build trust between the police and the community. It is a crucial step given the recent threats of violence from certain political figures in the country, and it encourages open communication and cooperation between the public and law enforcement. Intelligent gathering can facilitate information flow from the community. Residents may feel more comfortable in reporting suspicious activities or threats which will allow the police to respond effectively. The Supreme Court ruled. Many different actors are speaking up. The government also had the right to speak up. So we were here, and we made some remarks and said those were initial remarks. We went a step further when the President of the Republic himself addressed the nation. And even though he addressed was broad-based, we realized that one thing stood up. And that's why many questions were talking about the most. And that is our resolve to keep government running, even in the midst of the crisis at the legislature. And so the President did say to keep government running, because to run the government effectively will require the three branches of the government working. So we'll continue to do business where there is quorum. And some have interpreted it as an affront to the court. Some will say it is a challenge to the court ruling, and all the different things they have to say. As a government, we don't believe any of those represent the fact. Because sometimes we just simply forget. So let's retrospect a bit. When did the conflict start in the waters? Somewhere in 2023. I remember I was in Italy with the President. When the entire thing started, it must have been around October or November. So it was October. So you check. October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 7 long months. If you are acknowledging it's something for us to go by, it means within those 7 months, government should have collapsed. It means we should not have had a budget that everybody, including all 3 branches of government, benefiting from. It means the hospitals should have been closed down, because it is for the budget that those working in the hospitals are paid. It is from the budget that you can buy the medication in the hospital. It is from the budget that everything happening in the hospital setting can be met. It also means our schools should close down, because you can't pay teachers. You can't procure instructional materials. You can't do anything that is supposed to enhance the operation of the schools. It means our security forces should fold their hands and got nothing to do, because they will not have fuel to run the different vehicles to do operations. It means our ministries and agencies should all close down. Because we doing these things because we dealt with a group that reflected the majority. So they passed the budget. Some of those questioning their legality and legitimacy today sat before them to debate their budget. Some of them celebrated the fact that for the first time in the history of their sector, they had a satisfactory budget. And they are still executing those budgets. But we'll come back to say that these are people we're not supposed to deal with. And don't forget, for legislative action to be taken, there are 2 chambers that must agree. One cannot do it. The Liberian Senate could not, on their own pass the budget with what the House of Representatives. Bills that have been passed cannot be passed by one sector of the legislature. They have to be both. Now, somebody's argument in the last 7 months, all of these have come to a standstill. Sometimes just common sense can mean a whole lot. Beyond all the different education we all have. Some people have 5 master's degrees and PhDs, very educated. Some people got the initial law degree, they got double masters. Maybe there are some with PhD in law. But all of the education we have, it should come with reasoning. The reasoning that exists in this case is first we encourage the members of the lower house to follow the legal side. But ask yourself the question, have the legal side solved the issue? Isn't there still an impasse? What is required to solve that impasse? Is it not political engagement? So until that happens, the government should fold up, and thereby is showing the destabilization of the country? No. That's what we said. The things we have to do to keep the country running, the things we have to do to ensure the army got everything it needs to operate, that the police, immigration, DEA, all the program what it needs to function. The things we need to do that the hospitals we keep running, the schools we keep functioning. We do them at the level of those who have the legal requirement that it shows that it can function as a garrison, while encouraging the contending parties to find a political solution to their problem. That's what we are. You cannot have your cake and eat it. You cannot be insisting that an arrangement is illegal, but everything currently, based upon which you are functioning, is supported by some of the actions they took. Do we put a freeze to those actions? Do we return all the monies that our institutions have for the budget and give it back and say, these are illegal monies, we're not supposed to be using it, let's put a stop to it? Is somebody suggesting that? Why are you thinking about that? Why are you suggesting that? Governance will continue. And the role that should be played by the legislature, the Senate is in charge to continue to deal with them. When it comes to the lower house, until that matter is resolved, where we find the quorum, as the president says, is where we will have to do what we ought to do from the perspective of the legislature to keep the government running. I'm sure we're not going to be in a cycle of debating anyone. We clear enough on this issue, and that will be it for us. Now let's come to some of the reactions, which is the right. Anybody can, once you're a Nigerian citizen, a particular issue is trending, you have your right to have an opinion. What you do not have right to is to vow or threaten that you will unleash chaos because certain thing is not going your way. What are we quick to forget? Let's go a little bit back, because you see, many of you are not in this room. Look at how young many of you are. You may not know the history of what we've gone through. So we must have some of these discussions to bring you up to speed, but also to remind these agents of violence who are now yelling and threatening chaos about what took place here through their hands. You see, a group of people gathered the other day, and the supreme leader for that gathering was the former vice president, and who is also a former wife to former President Charles Taylor. The gathering was legal. They are political people, they got political institutions. They analyzed what the president's response represented. They talk about what the court's ruling meant for them. Fair enough, nobody will have issue with that. But then the former vice president went on to vow that there will be chaos because in her view, the government and the leader appears to be interested in having chaos, and therefore they can bring it. When I watched the video personally, I had empathy. Because chaos is just chaos. I cannot thrive in the midst of chaos if I'm walking with a walking stick. It means I can't walk well. It means I can't run. And when chaos is unleashed, I could be victim number one. But I'm asking for chaos. That is what we are. But let me remind and tell you what chaos is. This country was making real progress. It was not the most developed country in the world. But this place was a sanctuary for people who were faced with challenges in their respective countries. This place was a major base for the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. The University of Liberia has some of the best professors you could imagine. They were not Liberians, they came from different countries. The standard was high. The Civil War broke all that down. The little we had of our infrastructure were destroyed. Most significantly, 250,000 souls perished. Thousands of others found themselves lingering in refugee camps, dying from disease, hunger, etc. Some of the people you see in the street now, when you stop your car and walk to you, some of your call them Zulu. Our people call it disadvantaged youth. It's part of the result of the Civil War. That the former vice president cannot have her hands out of it because she was the wife of the principal warlord. And by extension, she must have been his key advisor. And she always thrived on and lived on the fruit of the war. When the war ended, what has happened? Since the war ended, she was deputy governor for the National Bank of Liberia, non-central bank. She was senator for years, then rewarded with the post of vice president. If you check over 30 years, she survived on government. It was just January 22nd, last year, that she had a little space to rest away from government. But it appears that it is not possible to live outside of government in her home. So just a year and little out of government, Anchor has re-emerged. And threats have been made to unleash chaos. Because, understandably, some of them thrive very well in the midst of chaos. The former chairman of the former ruling party said he now has a civil society organization where you are sitting on the same platform with politicians and political parties issuing a joint statement. You can't be goat and sheep at the same time. You have to be goat or sheep. So where do they stand? Civil society, political party, or both? You can't lie your way to anything. This country suffers so much for war. And what we encourage our politicians to do when you have disagreement is not to threaten us with war. Because many of them who are sitting on those platforms, when war or chaos come by here, They'll be in the plane the next day, they go somewhere else. There are many of our citizens who have not gone beyond the countries they live in, not to even think about getting out of the country. When the war came in 1990, how many of those ministers were caught here? Almost all of them were out. The people who were struggling, eating some kind of grass that they used to call Baba John. The ordinary people who could not go anywhere. All these big shot people who were all in government, they were all gone. It was not time for Ezra Blue. And the masses of our people were stranded here. I didn't step out of this country during the entire war. I witnessed the situation of a pregnant woman walking towards a checkpoint. And irresponsible young people holding terror weapons in their hands were having debates as to the sex of the child in a woman's stomach. And to determine who was right or wrong, the decision was made to open those pregnancies. We saw that. We saw summary executions all over this place. Dr. Stephen Yekesi, he was president for UL when the war started. You didn't see the leader run away. He chose to go beyond rebel land. Where my former vice president husband was the presider. He was executed. Jackson Doe, a political figure worshipped by his people, presumed to have won the 1985 election that he was robbed of, saw comfort in crossing over to Taylor's land, said most of the fighting forces were from his ethnic group. It was a miscalculation. He was executed. As though everything we did was not enough, we exported the war. We started the war, but there was war in Sierra Leone, there was war in Guinea, there was war in Africa. Those threatening chaos. Are they saying they want us to go back to that scenario? Don't they have other means to seek redress of the things that offend them rather than threatening chaos? Some of them pride themselves and say they are rule of law people, rule of law couple, rule of law this. When you rule of law something, you come celebrating for the Supreme Court. Straight to the Capitol building, bossing offices. How is that rule of law? How is that rule of law? From the court straight to the Capitol building. Breaking into offices, taking portraits down from the wall that you see here and breaking them. That's supposed to be rule of law. That's banditry and restoration, not rule of law. And for you to proudly call people with such behavior in their group, rule of law people, but at the same time, you cry wolf about a group that passed a national budget that you executed to do what you do, lawless people, then some kind of confusion is somewhere. When we exported our war to Sierra Leone, go there and see the victims. We let the soldiers who were fighting the war and grabbing ordinary civilians and call it and say we're giving them something called short sleeves and long sleeves. So when they cut your hair from up here, that's long sleeve. They cut you from here, that's short sleeve. Thanks be to God, the Sierra Leone, unlike us, said there will be accountability. So my former vice president's husband is not in jail because of what he did here. He's in jail because of what he did in Sierra Leone. But you see, that's why sometimes things are not fair. The poor man is there. And the chief advisor has been enjoying here, serving different positions. Nothing happened to them from Liberia's perspective, so they feel emboldened. That's the reason why we should take this war and economic crime code issue very seriously. Because to allow people who committed mayhem here to be walking about freely is what is giving the courage to come back and threaten us with chaos and anarchy. Let me say to them, there is a government in charge with the principal responsibility to protect lives and property. And we ensure that that desire, naked and raw desire for chaos, will not happen. We want to assure the citizenry that you can continue to go about your businesses without fear, because you have a government here that will not allow those beating drums of war to have their way. They ran to court. The court system is there. Keep going there. Don't tell us about chaos. Don't threaten us about anarchy. Nobody owe you anything. You spend 30 unbroken years of your time living on government. 1 year all you can bear, you say you want to scatter everything. Oh yeah, maybe you believe that when that happens, you go sit down somewhere, they form transitional company, and you find your way back. It's not going to happen. We've been having successful transition since the war ended. Your husband was elected. Then he left. The interim period came in between. Then 2 terms, President Seli. Another term, President Piah, to whom you serve as vice president. I'm not sure you did a good job, because if you did, the Liberian people would not have rejected you at the polls. They elected somebody else. If they don't feel pleased with the people they elected, they will solve that problem at the ballot box, not through chaos as you want. So we just wanted to make this as clear as possible. And I hope many of you, young people who stand here, I hope you've understood that no politician, nobody, not even your government, should mislead you into supporting anything that leads to chaos and anarchy. Because you will be the ultimate victims. Don't support them, and trust us as a government that we will stand firm in protecting the peace of this country, ensuring that the democratic way will be the only way to state power, not through war, not through coup, not through anarchy, not through acts of gangsterism and banditry. Because we are a civilized nation, we've gone through a lot, we survived it all, we're putting things back on track. Don't allow greedy and blood-thirsty politicians to mislead you. Thank you.
Members of the press, you have listened to our distinguished speakers, and I'm very certain that you have some questions. I thought Mr. Piah was as clear as crystal. I've been able to entertain 2 questions from you.
So folks, I'd like to say thank you for watching. You can join us in our subsequent broadcast for more updates on happenings in and around Liberia.
If you have questions for the Director General of the LCA, you also come. If you have questions for the
Liberia is progressive on television. Still tuned.
Good afternoon, Minister. My name is Arthur B. and I report for Parliament. Sorry, when you talk about